Not every 911 call ends with sirens blaring and help arriving in time. Some end in silence, others with far more disturbing echoes. Tonight I bring you 3 true stories, each one linked to a real emergency call. But behind the panicked words and static-filled audio is a chilling truth even darker than the recording itself. These stories were shared by real people, their experiences documented in dispatch logs, audio tapes, and, sometimes, in the kind of whispered local legends that never make the headlines. But here, they're told exactly as they were lived. This is Dark Echoes, and these are 3 real 911 calls with horrifying backstories. Story 1, The Man in the Attic. It started with the sound of something shifting overhead. Jen, a 29-year-old woman living alone in Portland, Oregon, had just gotten back from a long weekend away visiting her parents. She'd left on Friday, returned Monday evening. Nothing seemed out of place. Not at first. But that night, while brushing her teeth in the bathroom, she heard something, a faint thump above her head. Then a dragging sound. She paused, looked up. Her bathroom was directly beneath the attic. She assumed it was the house settling, or maybe an animal. Still, it bothered her enough to call her dad, who told her it was probably just a squirrel or a raccoon. She went to bed around 11:30 p.m. At 3:47 a.m., Jen called 911. Her voice was shaking. There's someone walking around in my attic," the operator asked if she had seen anyone. "No, but I can hear them. They've been up there for hours. I thought it was an animal, but they're walking, slowly." The dispatcher kept her on the line while sending officers. Jen locked herself in her bedroom, crouched near the door with a kitchen knife. She whispered into the phone. You could hear the faint creaking of footsteps above her ceiling. When police arrived, they searched the attic and found no one at first. Then they saw the access panel to the insulation space behind the main attic. It had been moved. Inside, they found a man curled in the corner with a knife in his hand and a bag of clothing, half-eaten granola bars, and a journal. His name was Tyler, a 34-year-old drifter with a record of breaking into homes. He had been living in Jen's attic for at least 4 days. The creepiest part? In his notebook, he had written pages of notes about Jen. What time she left the house, what she wore, when she took a shower, what she watched on TV, his final entry. She's back now, watching her sleep tonight. He was waiting. For what exactly? No one knows. The laughing man in the woods. Ben and Tyler were both 17, best friends since middle school, and like a lot of suburban teens, they'd developed a taste for local urban legends. One night in early October, they decided to test one. There was an old trail just outside their town in North Carolina. Rumor was a man had gone insane and lived out there decades ago, surviving off squirrels and raccoons. Some said he'd killed a few hikers. Others claimed he was just a myth, a story parents used to keep kids from wandering too far into the forest. Ben and Tyler went out there around 11 p.m. with flashlights and their phones rolling, filming a kind of amateur documentary for their small YouTube channel. They got about a mile into the trail when they started hearing laughter. Not friendly laughter. The kind of deep, drawn-out, unnatural chuckle that didn't sound quite human. At first, they thought it was someone messing with them, maybe another group of kids. So they laughed too, called out into the darkness, shouted into the trees. No answer. Then they saw movement, something quick, a blur between the trees. Tyler panned his flashlight and caught just the edge of a shoulder. A pale figure disappearing behind a tree. They turned and ran. Ben dialed 911 while still running, panting into the receiver. "We're being chased. We saw someone out here, laughing. He's following us." "He's not talking, he's just laughing." The dispatcher told them to keep running toward the trailhead. Help was on the way. Suddenly Ben screamed and the line went dead. When officers arrived 14 minutes later, they found Tyler alone, shaking uncontrollably, his leg bleeding from a fall. Ben was missing. They found his phone 30 yards off the trail, the flashlight still on. The last 10 seconds of his video showed a shape stepping out from behind a tree, tall, hunched, and with a strange mask-like face. And the sound, that laugh. Ben was found 2 days later, alive but traumatized. He said he had been dragged and thrown in a shallow pit covered with leaves. He didn't describe the man, he just kept repeating the same words. He laughed the whole time, he never stopped laughing. To this day, no one knows who that man was. He was never caught, but hikers still report laughter in those woods, especially after midnight. Story 3. The Baby Monitor. Jessica and Mark were first-time parents, living in a quiet suburb of Milwaukee. Their daughter, Olivia, was just 3 months old. Like many new parents, they had a baby monitor set up with a camera in her nursery. Theirs had two-way audio and night vision. Around 2:30 a.m. on a Thursday night, Jessica woke up to the sound of Olivia crying. Mark was asleep. She grabbed the baby monitor and hit the screen. That's when she heard it. A voice. Male. Not Olivia, not the TV. Someone was whispering in her daughter's room. Shh, shh. She's so pretty when she cries. Jessica froze. She shook Mark awake, handed him the monitor. He heard it too. The camera feed was glitchy but clear enough to see the outline of Olivia in her crib and a dark figure crouched near the side of it. Mark ran upstairs. Jessica called 911. The 911 recording still exists and you can hear her say, "Someone's in my baby's room. Please, please hurry. My husband's upstairs. He might be armed. Oh my God, he's in there." Then the line went quiet. When officers arrived, Mark had already tackled the intruder and was holding him down. The man was in his mid-30s, homeless, mentally unstable. He had broken in through the basement and crept into the house undetected. He had been inside for over 2 hours before going into Olivia's room. He didn't have a weapon, but what they found in his backpack was worse. Dozens of photographs, all of Olivia, all taken through her window, some dated over 2 weeks back, and a pacifier. One Jessica knew had gone missing days earlier. He had been watching them, waiting. The man was institutionalized, diagnosed with schizophrenia, but that didn't bring peace to Jessica or Mark. They moved 2 months later. To this day, Jessica can't fall asleep without checking the windows. Twice. Evil doesn't always announce itself with a bang. Sometimes it slips in quietly, through the attic, from the forest, or into the walls of your home. These 911 calls were meant to be cries for help. But behind each one is a darker message. Sometimes, when we feel most alone, we're not. If you found this video disturbing, unsettling, or familiar, consider subscribing to Dark Echoes, because we bring the shadows to light one story at a time. Stay safe, stay aware. And remember, when you hear a sound in the night, don't always assume it's the wind. Until next time, this has been Dark Echoes.